Hey folks, and welcome to the Daily Ratings Podcast. It's a show where each week we're going to be sitting down with Vincent Daly to get his thoughts on the latest movies he's been watching, both older films and new releases. And don't worry, there's no spoilers. Vince will give a brief review of the movie, share some thoughts, and of course, then rate the film. The daily ratings are always fair, honest, and most importantly, they're consistent. On today's show, Vincent Daly will be watching, rating, and reviewing. From 1946, we have Notorious, directed by Alfred Hitchcock. We then have The Raid Redemption from 2011, directed by Gareth Evans. And finally, we have newly released, now in theaters, we've got some Thunderbolts here with us today, directed by Jake Schreier. So let's bring in Mr. Vincent Daly, see what he has to say about these films. Stay tuned and enjoy the film. Mr. Vincent Daly, how are we doing over there, brother?
Thomas, you enjoy the film, in fact.
Getting a little tongue-tied over here. Getting a little tongue-tied. How you doing? How was your 3 movies?
3 was good. Like the workload this week. All over the place, though. I mean...
yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I think I probably said last week or the week before, I kind of enjoyed the variety. This week, I didn't enjoy the variety. It was... I needed to be a little bit more in Marvel land, superhero land.
That actually surprised me. I would have thought you'd like being ping-pong back and forth.
Yeah, I don't know. I think what loses out this week is Thunderbolts. Just this ping-pongness.
Well,
but,
I'll tell you what, Thunderbolts, all of a sudden, all the haters ain't hating so much anymore. And it had a good opening weekend.
Yeah, it did.
I mean, it's very possible that this is the opening weekend that Mission Impossible gets, which is what it's kind of tracking for, which doesn't make any sense to me. Mm-hmm. I mean, Mission Impossible should be a $3 trillion movie at the end of this.
$3 trillion?
But, okay, so...
You're just going to drop that bombshell.
Theater experience at all? Was the theater packed for Thunderbolts?
It was. I went
Asterisk?
super late.
Thunderbolts asterisk?
Yeah, I was waiting for that.
Yeah.
You did that with Meth Regan and Airplane. I don't know. No real notes on the theater.
Was it packed? All I wanted to know was it packed.
It was.
Okay.
It was. I feel like I got a very generous theater, but it's also people are super generous on this film online. So
Dolby Atmos?
Yeah. Always.
Yeah.
Always.
I want to start first by something I threw out there on the news
Oh,
news
that's
show.
right. Yeah.
It's just okay. So
He's built it up now.
for the past month, I have been slowly freaking out that this Mission Impossible movie isn't going to do well, and I've just had concern about it because
I don't think it is going to do well.
it's because of where we left off with Dead Reckoning.
Sure.
Part 1, now just referred to as Dead Reckoning.
Yeah, probably
it
for the
didn't do
better.
well. Yes, for the better, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't. It got sandwiched between stuff. That was. I mean, it just like it had a tough release. It had a tough window, and then it just wasn't as good as Fallout. So then that didn't do so well, and now we're coming off the fine. I'm worried about it. And
well, do you suggest any action to get better with this?
So my thing is, and then you have Lilo and Stitch. Then I really got concerned
Oh,
Lilo
sure.
and Stitch is really being talked about.
Yeah.
So they're going to cannibalize each other. But then I was thinking, you and I should be at the spear point of what do we call this? How do we make it a Barbenheimer? How do we make this a Glicken? What is the words?
Wow.
What is the phrasing we can call? What? How do we get this juices flowing?
Lilo and Cruz.
Lilo and Tom Cruise is great.
Tom and Stitch.
I mean, you literally could do the full thing, which is Lilo and Stitch. Well, no, you could do Lilo and Stitch Final Reckoning. Which is great.
I kind of like that also.
But as far as like a catchy one-word, Barbenheimer, Glicked,
yeah,
there's no one word.
None.
Lilo Cruz would be the biggest one, but it just.
Lilo Cruz.
But this is perfect. You have an intense action, and then you've got this cute kid live action film,
right?
And I think we can get. I think this has enough separation where they don't need to cannibalize each other, and they can play off each other.
I think that's a good observation, though, because Lilo and Stitch is gonna obviously get the kid market that it always does, with these live action remakes. I think Lilo and Stitch also as a property will kind of pull the heartstrings of millennials, the Disney adults that will want to go see it.
Yeah, we missed Lilo and Stitch. We were just slightly too old when that was a thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so Lilo and Tom Cruise, is that what we have to go with?
Lilo and Cruise. No, it has to be in the title somehow.
Lilo and Cruise is good.
Stitch Impossible.
Ooh. Stitch Impossible.
Stitch Impossible.
You ready for Stitch Impossible this weekend? Done. Okay.
Done.
Okay, that's fantastic. Everybody spread that now. God knows we don't have the Twitter followers to go viral on that.
Oh, Twitter is dry.
Yeah, it's dry as a bone.
Twitter is dry. Blue Sky is
damn
doing better
near
than
non-existent.
Yeah, I know. People watch our stuff on Twitter. I just have no idea where the interaction is. I think I have to be on Twitter to really be pushing.
Yeah, let's be honest about that. Yeah, because we're pretty.
We're just pumping it out. We're not existing on the platform.
So what did we say? Stitch and Impossible? Stitch Impossible.
Stitch Impossible.
Stitch Impossible. Stitch Impossible. Love it. Love that. Okay.
Love that.
Mark that one down.
And jog my memory. You liked the most recent trailer for Mission Impossible?
No.
Oh,
I had issues with it showing too much. I didn't. I was trying not to pay attention to it.
Sure.
And I don't care. It's showing all of the action scenes. Mm-hmm. And the thing about the Mission Impossible is you go to see the action scenes. There's enough talked about it with the press for a year and a half while the film was being made.
The probably the single biggest is always part of the PR.
It would just be cool to have a wow factor when you go in and sit down, because that way you see it or blown away. So next time you're among your friends or family members, it's just like, oh, no, whoa. What Tom Cruise does on this one. And it's like, oh, yeah, how was the plane scene? I already know about it because I watched the trailer 40 times.
So true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And by the way, the Hollywood Reporter thing was just saying that actually both movies are tracking to do very well.
Oh, okay.
So Lilo and Stitch, I think they're saying might have like $120 million opening weekend. And then Mission is tracking for an $80 million.
Interesting.
Which I really wish those were reversed.
Sure.
But
I'm sure Tom Cruise
kids are gonna
does
rule.
as well.
Well, but if it hits $80 million, it is the most successful Mission Impossible opening ever.
Oh, wait, really?
Fallout, believe it or not, was not all that.
Kind of a slow burn. It came around.
It did well. I mean, it made money, which is good. But as far as it being the slam bam finish, it's like fine. It's still the best one in the franchise, but like the fact that you can just make it $8 million and that does it. I mean, again, that's Thunderbolts territory.
Yeah, true.
So, okay, I guess.
Okay. I love that you have like skin in the game on this, though. Like,
well, come on. I mean,
this
is 30 years in the making. 25 years, 26 years in the making. Mission Impossible's coming to an end. We're about to get Tom Cruise over at Warner Brothers because he's leaving Paramount.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to be working.
Interesting.
He's going to be working with Inarritu. His next film is an Inarritu film.
Wow.
So we have Tom.
We'll say at the movies.
I'm just saying. Tom Cruise is back. Let's take bets.
I don't know if he is.
Well, no. He's definitely back. He worked his way into the good graces. That's not even a question. But the thing is, we're all ecstatic to see Tom Cruise as an actual actor again and not just movie star action guy. Right? So I care about Mission. I want Mission to have a proper bow on it and not something that sucks and is lackluster. We have the huge submarine scene in this one, and I'm not usually a fan of water theatrics with the film.
Water theatrics. No, Hunt for Red October? No.
Well, Cruise's last water thing was, I forget which mission was. It's different movies.
Yeah.
But last Tom Cruise when he's underwater, that was one of the worst ones in my opinion.
Oh, okay. I'm going to be honest. I probably need a brush up, need a YouTube recap.
Yeah, I'll just kind of mush into your brain.
Yeah, they really do. I mean, I definitely remember 1 and 2, especially 2. But if I had to tell you what, Rogue Nation was about.
Rogue Nation, I think, is the water one. No.
No,
the water one is the one between Rogue Nation and Fallout.
Yes.
The one where they start. It has Sawyer from Lost at the beginning.
I think
and
so.
Lays to do.
I floated this by you, I think, off podcast, but you should really quiz me on that. I think that would be great.
You have to quiz each other on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, good. I'm the only one who cares about that. One to two of us.
I think so.
I'm getting cold water over here.
I think so.
Okay, good. So any opening notes for you there, Guy?
There, Guy.
No, nothing?
No. I'm kind of... Well, no, I shouldn't say that.
You don't have to force an opinion on it. I don't want to, you know what I mean?
No. I am kind of waiting for May to be over with. I don't really have a lot that I'm excited for. Bring Her Back from the Philippou brothers, the guys that did talk to me. Excited for that.
It's a good reason to get excited.
Yeah. I think it was a hell of a trailer. Like, it looks scary.
Are you not at all excited for Mission Impossible? Like when you go to the movies, is it going to be like, all right, I got to go see this?
Yep.
Are you serious?
It's definitely in the job
What's
category.
the matter with you?
I'm sorry.
Are you?
I'm kind of yeah. Listen, I'm not hating on it. I
think
hope
you're hating on it. I mean, if De Niro was, you insulted him a little bit, man. You insulted him a little bit. What is going on here? What's the matter with you?
Why? You really want me to dig in? I don't like Tom Cruise.
I don't need you to dig in. That's not. I mean, but you're coming around to it a certain extent where you can enjoy Fallout.
Yes.
We're all on a high from Fallout still.
Oh,
That's
right.
what this is.
And we may not get to that high again in 30 years.
That shocks me. Wow, that shocks me.
That shocks me.
All right, maybe Inarritu can pull you around in 2 years.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Tom's going to have a very good Warner Brothers stint going on. I really do. I think we might have potential Oscar nominations coming out of that.
Really?
I'm talking out of my ass, but
Definitely.
I can see it happening. I don't know. Okay. All right. Well, that's disappointing.
Sorry, I wasn't,
Should we jump back to 1946 then?
I guess
Maybe get some cheer going on?
Right.
So we are kicking off. This is third film by Alfred Hitchcock for this Alfred Hitchcock May. And third?
No, for second.
Second. Wow. 1946. This is called Notorious.
Right.
I didn't watch it. I wanted to watch it after doing research for it. And I'm excited to hear what you're going to say.
Sure.
This it's not surprising, but very critically praised, this film.
Yeah.
Like, out the wazoo.
Out the wazoo is right.
And I kind of dig the storyline, the story beats, it looks like. Now, the question is, it's in 1946, so how does it hold up? But take us back to Notorious.
Sure. Well, for our next Hitchcock slot, we're tackling what many call his best work, but honestly, as we progress through this study, as we progress probably multiple years into tackling Hitchcock films, you'll probably find that statement can be applied to a good 5 to 6 of his movies. There's really no wrong answers when you're calling like the best of the best, but this is one of them. One of the reasons this does rise to the top is how Al himself views the project in a 1984 biography titled The Dark Side of Genius. He speaks about how it was his first real attempt to craft a serious love story. It also stands as one of the first times Hitchcock was able to pull his ideal cast on his name alone. This is at a point in his career that he's now not a hit maker per se, but like a name, a legendary name.
Yeah, last year, so for 1940s Rebecca, I had made a comment when I first introduced it saying this didn't put him on the map. And the reason why, because I had already thought he kind of was on the map.
Sure.
Rebecca was his first one made in America, but he did have a name for himself coming from England already, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. That definitely goes into the rabbit hole of actually what he was offered fleeing the UK.
Oh, okay.
But for the most part, yeah, he's absolutely a name with this. There's just, in that time, we've talked about it a little bit on the podcast that there's powerful directors, of course, during this time. They are still studio guys, They're not
like
the
John
auteur.
Ford.
Yeah,
exactly. Right.
They're not these big creative forces. We see Notorious be a little bit of a tipping point in the casting department for that.
Okay, gotcha.
Those casting choices that will really become, a hallmark of his later career. Here, he's able to nab Cary Grant and Ingrid Bergman. Might just be old Hollywood names to us in modern day, but these two together were a big deal. I think I remember reading a quote saying that their romance burned a hole in the celluloid. It was like, okay, pump the brakes a little bit. It wasn't that. But especially post-Casablanca for Ingrid, big names at the time, and big names that specifically, were never in any kind of romance together. Notorious, not to be confused with the 2009 Biggie biopic, is a noir spy romance where a love triangle has its edges sharpened repeatedly and repeatedly as the suspense grows around everyone's involvement. Cary Grant plays Devlin, a federal agent who convinces a young, reckless girl, Alicia Huberman, to fly down to Rio in assistance in an espionage operation rounding up fleeing Germans after the war. She's played by Ingrid Bergman, and while her rebellious streak puts her at odds with any Fed, quickly the two fall madly in love as proof opposites attract. And this romance is twisted, though, in a strange way, however, when her assignment is to seduce the well-connected Alexander Sebastian, a German aristocrat and someone who sticks out like a sore thumb, suspicious here in Brazil.
Danger swirls with jealousy as Alicia becomes the most important piece on the chessboard, preserved only by her new love's conflict of interest and the faith she has to uphold for the operation. This story revolves around the balance of trust withheld and trust given too easily. I would say pairing espionage with romance, really nothing unusual for the genre. I'm guessing the spy theme is why you were interested in checking this out.
Oh, yeah, spy, film noir type stuff, old noir stuff, yeah.
Absolutely. I really can't think of a movie that concerns itself with this type of undercover jealousy. Like, it really is a romance with some spy dressings on it. Still has its priority in a love story, kind of supporting what Al said.
This is kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah. There's a lot of spy elements to it. And there's also, like, it's deep undercover, so you don't really get, I don't know, I'm trying to think, like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy or something like that. You know, like really just like almost mundane, not really exciting undercover work. This is still, the focus is just, it's the romance given tension by the spy work.
And I'll tell you what, Alfred Hitchcock does a lot of romance as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of romance in his films.
Sure.
I mean, look at Rebecca. I mean, that's a lot. It's mostly just romance for the most part, a lot of it.
Absolutely.
And same thing when we covered Vertigo. So it's just, I wasn't going to get some, 1946 James Bond going on.
Right.
But I also need, he can go dark too.
Yeah.
And he can touch on themes in ways that other people weren't at this time.
Sure.
So it's like, 1946, but I bet it still really holds up.
Yeah. And I think like the spy element of it was interesting because, 46 this came out. They're talking about Germans fleeing to South America.
I love it. I love how early it is.
There's some realism to it. So I'll admit it does take a while to get us into some nice pacing of the film. There's a lot of setup to this love triangle, and without really knowing where that structure was going, it took us just a bit to settle into that. It felt a little bit directionless and slow at first. But once we do settle in, it was surprising how the mix of styles created some real suspense that I had little idea where the cards were going to fall with. Not only does this juggle the risk of getting caught in the relationship, but how jealousy poisons all sides to kind of create these real and imagined suspicions. There's definitely a sub-layer here that you can look at what's going on in the relationship and see how jealousy is affecting the operation itself, but then almost a self-sabotage in each player of this, of how they are kind of muddying things up. They're almost, losing focus of the operation because their emotions are all getting in the way. And was not just a clear-cut spy, clear-cut romance. The intermingling was impressive. Part of that, though, are the performances. I think all three are great. Grant Bergman and then Claude Rains, who plays Alexander, the German aristocrat. All of them at least have two folds to them, kind of with just what I was saying. They have their almost professional persona, but then occasionally you'll see them act out in a way that maybe breaks even some logic, but it's them acting honestly with the emotion involved. It'll really keep you kind of guessing what mask they're showing at any one time. Seeing them process the shifts in the mystery of when they know certain details or simply suspect something's off made these roles very dynamic. I feel like all three of these deserve some praise, which I think all three of them actually get snubbed at Oscars this year. My favorite performance was definitely Ingrid, by far. I want to cover more stuff with her. Obviously, Casablanca is classic, but it struck something nice. Cary Grant, though, is the most complex when it comes to this balance of operations and emotions kind of mixing together.
And this is our first Cary Grant movie on the podcast.
I was looking at, I don't know if I'll get to other Cary Grant movies.
I'm sure we will.
Yeah.
Anything stuck out that said, okay, yeah, this one makes sense?
Honestly, no, but...
The Philadelphia Story, come on now.
True.
Keystone Strong.
Really, Grant does a great job because he mixes so many emotions. You can see like he's calm, cool, and collected.
Yeah.
But you see the cracks in his actions, not necessarily his words. So it's a really interesting character for him.
Does he present? I don't even know Cary Grant. Everyone knows the name.
Yeah, right.
I don't think I watched more than 10 minutes of Cary Grant.
That's exactly where I commented on it.
Does he present like classical play? Or does he present more like, this guy's a film actor?
Yeah, film actor,
Okay.
and very noir. I mean, the way he woos Bergman is like he's just a stern dude. He almost very detective noir in that way. So
Good, cool.
And really, it's the little moments that he shows this petty or selfish side of what he can be that just made this whole angle unpredictable. Because you think like, all right, the danger is between Bergman and Rains. Basically in the operations, in the undercover. Really, Grant did not let up in mixing things up. There was a lot of unpredictability to it. Hitchcock's filmmaking slightly takes a back seat to the strong narrative elements in this that are, I think, the real focus here. However, boy, does he love using some wild zooms on this film. Like,
he's getting into his stuff. He's starting to play.
He's starting to play. The tech is reaching up. It's a bit extreme at times, almost comedic at times, but I thought it was really something that I enjoyed because it keys us into evidence or clues, especially when characters can't, narrate that or act somehow. Best of all, in this kind of suspicions, real suspicions or imagined suspicions being an underline of this, he uses a fast scrambling zoom to communicate the suspicions that are so central to our characters, and it looks great. Some of my favorite shots were when characters can't say anything, whether they're at a dinner party or directly in front of each other, and the contrast of that is that the camera work was so loud, like unusually loud for a 40s film. Like it felt like Jason Bourne steady cam, or shaky cam. And I just thought it was a great way to show like the panic on the inside with no break in what the performance was. So an interesting choice, just a little silly at times. This is a solid movie, though, and worth watching. I would say if you're interested in seeing a romance with a lot more tension and unpredictability than you're used to. Between Notorious and Rebecca, it really just surprises me how within these movies, it feels like there are many comparisons I can make to smaller stories. But just like I commented last week, I think lesser projects today would take a quarter of what's going on here and make that their whole thing.
Yeah.
I guess that's what you get when you're walking in the footsteps of one of the greats. We're going to go ahead and give Notorious 1946 a 71.
Okay, 71%. Definitely tamped down.
Yes. Not. I think it has like 100 on Metacritic or something like that.
It's got a lot. I mean, this is praise. This is praise for sure.
Yeah.
It was, and like you said, it was nominated for 2 Oscars, didn't win any.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's a good place for it. I feel like I'd probably be hotter on this than you, where Rebecca we switched.
Bingo. Because I really do think you would appreciate the undercover espionage angle.
I think I'd like the vibe.
Yeah. And also, 40s, it's like, this is early. They're figuring this out, kind of.
And also, I think there's a moment, there's something you said at the end of that where today it would take one aspect of the film and make the entire film about it.
Yeah.
It also is back then, and especially in the 40s, when dialogue was so much more respected and taken, it was treated so kindly and cared for.
Sure.
And so the scripts were huge back then. The scripts on the average script back then is way larger than the average script today. And especially for Hitchcock, where so much of his film is in the writing.
Yeah.
Well, we covered, was it Dial M for Murder?
Yeah.
That's it. It's a script.
Right. Exactly. It's just the script.
It's a lot of writing.
Yeah.
And it's just awesome. He does such a good job at incorporating and just having a very complete film.
Yeah, and I don't know. I really don't know if in the process of that, he's not writing his own scripts,
Correct.
but if he reads something and he's choosing these scripts because they evolve so much.
I'm sure. Now, it's always, especially with back then, the credits to a movie are so tiny. There's oftentimes that he is in the credits, but he's uncredited. So, even on IMDb or other databases, he will officially be a credited writer.
Interesting.
But as far as the film is concerned and what the studio puts out, he's uncredited.
Interesting.
If that makes sense. So he takes a big role in the writing process.
Yeah.
Which for him, he gets his hands on everything. It's not really surprising.
Sure. And as we progress in the years, just like I commented on with the casting, which, Hitchcock blondes, the type of casting becomes very intentional soon.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe even in a couple of years coming off of 46, we're slowly seeing that of like what he's known for as a director really come into focus. So his hands on everything,
Does he have a phrase about him? Like take Oh man, who? Oh, Howard Hawks. So Howard Hawks, actually, it's called a Hawksian woman, I think, or a Hawksian female lead.
Okay.
Because Howard Hawks was so good at getting very attractive but very competent female lead characters and writing them in a way that they really hold their own and they're tough. It's not so much femme fatale, but they lean into just a very strong feminine woman.
Sure.
And that became known as a Hawksian type woman. And with Alfred Hitchcock, he doesn't. It's almost just like, oh, he's got this blonde in this movie. Is that kind of what it is?
I think the Hitchcock blonde is a slight jab at him. I honestly have to read up more on it. There's, I think, great channel. I forget what it's called off the top of my head, but basically a dive into these old filmmakers and like what's going on behind the scenes on it.
Right.
And yeah, I think that's definitely a double-edged sword for it. But it's also you get people in that much creative control, they're going to have preferences, when it comes to it.
For sure. Okay, so Notorious for 71% back in 1946. Let's take a big jump. So Havoc on Netflix came out, and it's still top of the charts at Netflix. It's on everybody's scrolling thing.
Interesting.
I don't know if it's top of the charts, but you log on to Netflix, it's going to be right in front of your face.
Yeah.
So the director to Havoc is Gareth Evans, and kind of Vin was disappointed with how far he kind of fell on that one.
Oh, yeah.
He made his bones back in 2011 with The Raid Redemption. Not The Raid, by the way, because there is another film called The Raid.
Oh, okay.
That came out around this time.
Sure.
The Raid Redemption, directed by Gareth Evans. And jump into it. I know, Vin, that you were ecstatic to approach this again. It's the first time we can actually talk about it on the podcast, which is nice. It has been previously rated. And I watched it too. Let's talk about The Raid Redemption.
Yeah, well, you hit the nail on the head as far as what I wanted to start with. Last week's disappointment, yet another disappointing Netflix release, so I'll add to that. I wanted to really circle back to give some love around where our director, Gareth Evans, deserves it most. I've had a few moments over the podcast where I cover something only to make up for a disappointment a week earlier. I think, it's a good throwback example, but when we covered It Follows, that I believe was in response to watching the first Smile, which I was just like, no. And, I really wanted to like Havoc, to the point that maybe there were some horse blinders on, but it was just such a disappointment coming off of this. Honestly, I looked at The Raid being scored an 81 on the website, and I got a little nervous after last week's release. Last week's kind of shit show. I've mentioned it before, but it's much harder for me to talk about a movie I loved for a long time than it is to talk about anything else, but buckle up, folks, because this right here is a Hall of Fame action movie. I'm not kidding. I mean, this is the pinnacle of modern action choreography.
Okay.
I've yet to see that dethroned. I've yet to see I've yet to see something have better action than The Raid Redemption.
Okay, before I let you loose,
Yeah.
just throw the leash away.
Yeah.
This, I like approaching it because we had The Raid Redemption in 2011, right? And you knew you liked it. You showed it to the friends, whatever. Then we had the onslaught of everything action.
Sure.
From the John Wicks and everyone trying to be John Wick.
Yep.
The invention of Gung Fu, which I don't know if it necessarily started in 2011 with this, but it certainly became popularized.
Yeah, kind of almost a rebirth.
So coming back to this, you can't unsee all of the stuff that has come after it. Meaning when you return to it, how fresh is it going to be and how impressed are you going to be?
Sure.
So if this is what we're getting already.
Oh, yeah.
What a cool feeling.
Absolutely.
That you can still respect, have high respect for this.
Absolutely. And I think it's because the action, and I'll say this a few times, the action speaks for itself. It is simply that good. And I'll really hone in on why that action is so good.
Take it away.
I'll lead with the bottom line here, folks, and say if you consider yourself an action fan at all, this is absolutely a must-watch. The Raid Redemption is an Indonesian crime action flick packed to the brim with real martial art talent, featuring much more than everyone's favorite gun fu. Specifically, the fighting style is Pencak Silat, I think it's called.
That's a fighting style?
Yes.
That's what it's okay.
Yes. And is featured heavily in the film because it is informed by a stunt team that all have the skills to pay the bills, all have skills to show this lethal full-body technique, this full-body martial arts. On a sunny city morning, one SWAT truck full of cops is loaded up to take down a crime lord held up in his residential apartment block. Now, this is no average building, though. Inside, criminals are given a safe house in exchange for their loyalty to the boss up at the top. Not everything smells right in this operation, but before they can debate, their stealth entry is soon blown, and they find themselves trapped inside a hornet's nest from hell. We follow Rama, a rookie, but no doubt a lethal badass, that has a brother on the inside that he hopes to contact, but little does anyone know what awaits this squad, no less what's on the next floor up. Very simply, the raid has one singular focus for its 100 minutes of hell, and that is creating stakes. While every ounce of this film, and I really mean this, every ounce of this film is lean towards contributing towards its action, towards this goal of stakes, I want to really just unpack three qualities that always have stood out to me as exceptional. First is the setting, this apartment block of chaos, and I really mean block. This is not a complex-looking thing. It's a block, It's as straightforward as you can get. I've died on this hill plenty of times now when I say the key to action stakes is understanding the setting. And this is probably the single best argument I can make for that. Not only is this apartment a brutally simple square block, it's not hard to imagine how this thing is set up on the inside, but throughout the story, we are given plenty of interaction to understand the different floors, the simplistic layout of things, just rooms. Even at the start of the movie, you might not think that this is that important, but as soon as shots ring out or an injured cop starts screaming a little bit too loud that you can hear it down the hall, you become hyper aware of how tight and inescapable the action is. That's what I mean by stakes. You can have, Rama...
the proximity is stakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Rama is the biggest badass on the block. And it's like, he's going to kick some serious ass. This is going to happen. But how do you create stakes to threaten the ultimate badass in the film? You need to do it through the setting work. You need to do it through what is surrounding them, how they're existing in this, the context of the action. Not too far from like a haunted house gimmick, this setting becomes a pressure cooker that informs every single decision made in the action. Whether it's climbing 30 floors to kind of set a video game-like objective, sometimes fights sprawling out across multiple levels, but most of all, and what stands out to me most of all, is that the straightforward simplicity of this layout doesn't need to be explained. It lets the action speak for itself. Everyone knows how an apartment is going to feel, the different levels, the different organization, the layout of it. It's simple and straightforward, this block of chaos, because it doesn't get in the way of the action just being the full focus. I think it's also a refreshing quality, rewatching this, that the villains themselves are great, mainly because they had no jokes and all menace. There are just so many great moments that sell you on this evil. Maybe you could bash the film a little bit for, I don't know, kind of a la Havoc, and what Gareth Evans is doing. Maybe a little cartoony and it's cops and robbers, good guy, bad guy type of thing.
Yes, but two very different cops and robbers, in my opinion.
Yeah. Constantly. We talk about we'll talk about bad villains in a second, but talk about like a villain selling you on their villainy. You got the sniper shouting out, like, let him scream after maiming a cop. The boss having a loudspeaker that lets him taunt the cops wherever they are in the building. It really is just, we're constantly shown how much of a maniac this place is, filled to the brim with maniacs.
And oftentimes, so you have big action, obviously, it's so much action. But when it's not action and you need to just get a sense of how bad these people are and what terrible people, human beings they are, it's very calm evil.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
It's not over the top. Some of the stuff is very simplistic, but it's just like, hey, we need to just let you know how bad this guy is.
yeah, for real.
But it is calm almost,
Absolutely. A lot of this also is front-loaded to show us right away, that these criminals are not messing around in the slightest. And again,
You want to talk about fundamentals, a checklist of what I want. Sell me on the villain. Show me the villain. Don't tell me about the villain. Don't, have the villain cracking jokes. Sell me on the menace. And that's exactly what this movie does in its first half again and again and again. And it even does it in the second half, specifically around some just great fights. I feel like with these villains, as kind of my second highlight here, it really does strike a quality of one of the greats like a Die Hard or something, where they're constantly setting up little mini bosses that will get paid off throughout the movie.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that makes alone a great movie, but it is a little bit of a secret sauce to making a satisfying action movie.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's something to, it's just funny you bring up Die Hard because we're just dealing with a building and trying to get through the building.
Oh, I know.
It's naturally levels. It's naturally leveling up. It's getting to the next chapter. It's very video game-esque.
Yep.
But just that thing, you're right, where each level comes with a new boss.
Yep.
It's hard not to love that. Honestly, as just like dumb guys who want to just watch fighting on TV. Like, that's good. You got us.
Yeah.
We're in.
Absolutely. And again, I mean, if I really had to, again, die on the hill of that statement of setting makes the action or setting makes the stakes.
Yeah.
It's that we don't have to be bogged down with like, and this is the villain's backstory or and we're raiding this complex, part of the city where we don't really know what we're going into. We know what it is. It's an apartment block. We got to get to the top. Let's get that out of the way.
Yeah.
Let the action speak for itself.
You don't have to worry about travel scenes. You don't need to worry about what do we do with dialogue here.
Yep.
There's no need
No
for
back
it.
at the ranch, no A plot,
No,
B plot.
it's exactly right.
Straight up. Absolutely. This really does tie into my last point, and I would say probably the biggest point around the raid, and that is the martial arts itself. When I praised two particular scenes from Havoc last week, I was largely referring to how Evan's camera work is choreographed alongside fights. The way it follows punches, the way it tumbles with hits, and most of all, the way it tracks roundhouse kicks. I mean, really, I that's where I was watching this again. I was just like, oh my God, like, this is a travesty that he went on to make a Havoc. Like, a travesty.
Yeah, for like 4 years working on it.
Ridiculous. And it's just so nuts. Like, how do you forget? And if you did forget, like, ask for help. I don't know. This strikes such a visceral feel, though, because much, if not all, of the cast are all real martial artists. Right out of the gate, for this reason alone, I would say this puts it up there with the quality of a Jackie Chan Hong Kong production or Bruce Lee, because the whole team is dialed in. The whole team is the stunt team, and that just goes to show that the action is not only a point of passion for this team to pull something off that they're proud of, but also a demonstration of the martial art itself. Without a doubt, though, two actors that are the star of the show when it comes to this physicality on screen is Iko Uwais and my boy, Yayan Roheen. Both of them. They're short guys, they're small dudes, but both of them are incredible martial artists in real life, and most of all, really excellent performers bringing their training to life on screen. Especially Yayan. I mean, you want to talk about...
He's a psychopath on screen.
Yeah. You want to talk about good mini bosses. You want to talk about, like, moments in action movies that pay off. Man, oh my God. He's just so crazy. The fights are so good. My God. Just really, really, really top-notch stuff. Folks, the raid is all killer, no filler. And frankly, speaks for itself in a way that my praise can't even begin to touch. Honestly, I really had half a mind to say the raid redemption and then just give the score. It's just like that much of like the action talks. If you haven't watched it, watch it. And if you have watched it, watch it again. We're going to go ahead and give the raid redemption 2011 an 84.
Oh, an 84%? Okay, so...
Tom, I was real conflicted with it.
Well, okay, so first of all, you shouldn't be conflicted with it. I think that's a great score.
Yep.
And for how much you love it, I think that's an appropriate score. I actually think you tamped yourself down here, which is good because, we're for an audience. We're not just for an audience of two. And I like that. So you had it at, did we say before, you had it at an 81?
Yes.
And this is where I like going back and doing these rewatches of stuff that we rated, 11 years ago.
Sure.
Or whatever. Close to it. Probably, actually. Yeah.
I mean, this is one of those that would have been like probably the earliest of those scores.
Oh, almost in the original 50, potentially.
Yeah.
So, and you're only bumping it 3 points, let's be honest. And that's why I like fair, honest, consistent. You can't get really too much more consistent than that.
Sure.
Especially with how seriously we're taking these days. 84% Finn, I love that. I think it's poetic that you have John Wick at 83. I do think that you love this more than John Wick.
I think so, if only. And especially for the action.
Right.
The action directly.
An early bird gets the worm, and this was earlier. So, 84%. I love it, Vin. Just like I started with. Very cool that you can go back after we've had this onslaught of all the action and still see where it kind of came from and love it even more again. Because oftentimes I think you can go back and be like, oh, yeah, I could see why it was good back then because it was first. But there's a lot better afterwards.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It's very easy to actually bump this down to a 77.
Sure.
Than have it at 81.
Absolutely.
So, fantastic. I watched it. I really liked it. I mean, I can't compete with the praise. I wanted to make a joke that this is going to get a flip-flop, but it's just...
Maybe that's what we should have. You should just give it a flip-flop, and I should have just gave the score.
That's it.
No review.
It is, and you can get it on Amazon, folks. It's easy to find, it's easy to watch, and it's cool. It's a Filipino. It's Filipino film.
Oh no, Indonesian.
Indonesian film. Okay,
and that's where, and again, I can't really do justice to talking about the martial arts itself, but that's where this specific martial arts was kind of created.
Born. It was kind of born created.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Both Yayan and Iko were like instructors at a facility that Evans was doing a documentary on for the martial arts, and that's how it sparked everything.
How freaking cool is that?
Oh, yeah.
I do want to say this. This movie does not feel like a polished, highly produced, relatively big budget movie.
Right.
It doesn't feel like that. It does feel like the actors, hey, don't bump the walls too much because they are like tissue paper. Like,
You're right.
It does seem...
Maybe actual tissue paper in this in this apartment complex.
But that being said, it feels much, much bigger than a $1.1 million film. And that's the budget for this movie.
So true.
So that's super shocking.
Yeah.
And it almost knowing that, I want to give it more props, which I hate doing. Like, you know what I mean? It shouldn't make a difference on how I felt about the film.
I feel you.
But it does.
Yeah.
Because $1.1 million, are you kidding me? This goes in that category that we came up with, I don't even know when. Was it the 10 under 10 movies?
Oh, right.
This is that. This definitely belongs
absolutely.
in that. So very cool. So it's... I'm impressed with how much gets done in this film for 1.1.
It's so good.
It's a little wild.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh my god, the fighting is so good and so visceral and so real. You know what I mean? And the villains, just everything about it. I mean, I where I was conflicted with it is just that, one, like I said, I kind of have trouble talking about something I really, really love. I don't like kind of, I don't know, the vulnerability of the internet or something. I don't know.
No, break that down. Is it because you don't want to a film isn't that good, but for you it hits well, so you don't want to oversell it to people? Is it?
I don't know. I think it's more so that...
Is it criticism?
No.
I
really don't
now.
give
I don't even lean into it.
Yeah, this many movies in. I mean, whatever, fire away. Also, the work is shown basically.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm in the trenches, with how many movies we cover. But it's more so of just like, how do I connect the dots on something that I've not had to put words to? You know what I mean? That I've just loved without condition.
Actually, a tough review to sit down and put
exactly.
words. Yeah, right. Yeah.
So that's a little tough. But where I really settled with this, the bottom line here is that there is not a single action fan that I would talk to and not recommend The Raid.
That's huge.
Yeah. And I feel like that's where it pushes it up into, even higher praise than where it was at currently on the site.
And I think what it really is, it's people who aren't even that much into action films.
Right.
Be like, well, maybe you should actually just watch this one now.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like me and anime.
Yeah.
This is my Bakano. Right? That's exactly what it is. That's perfect.
There's a new anime by the Cowboy Bebop guy.
Okay.
It's called Lazarus. I won't give a full review for it. It's kind of all right, but it feels very Bakano, actually. So
really?
Yeah.
I can't wait to watch it. I'm sure I will. Hey, folks, if you enjoyed the daily ratings as much as Vin enjoyed the Raid Redemption, would you show us how much you enjoyed it? Would you put a value, a dollar sign next to it, and would you send that in to us? The daily ratings here, we are completely producer-supported. We are listener-supported. We're not going to deal with advertising money and have to deal with that on the podcast where we take ad breaks left and right. There's not going to be paywalls on this site. There's not going to be tier structures on this site. It's not pay to play or pay to access our content. Everything that Vin and I do is technically free. But if you're enjoying yourself and finding it valuable, we ask you, can you send us value back? It is the value for value model. So what you do is you go to thedailyratings.com, head to the donations tab, and through your monetary support, you send a donation in and you become an actual legitimate credited producer of the Daily Ratings. Just like in Hollywood, when you financially support a project, you're a producer of the project. And so we're doing it that way. You'll see the big value for value button there, and that's you can put in any amount, whether it be $5, $50, or $500. Everyone's on their own finances. Everybody's week to week money-wise is different. So you don't have to give a set donation if you don't want. Peg it to whatever you want, whatever amount of value that the Daily Ratings is bringing you. You know, did we make you laugh? Did we make you cry? Did we make you cry from laughter or something like that? It's something. And Vin and I, it takes a lot of work to actually keep this going and do it. We're a slim business here. We don't have too many expenses, but we do still have expenses on a yearly, monthly basis. And those who have produced what comes to us, it means the world to us. It really does make a difference for Vin and I, and we really appreciate it. The support has been great. If you want to be an executive producer of episode 186 for next week, head on over to thedailyratings.com and go to the donations tab. By the way, when you become a producer, send in a note along with it. A note can be questions, comments, critiques, suggestions, get yourself in a conversation, add to a conversation, whatever. If you're producing, we want to hear what you have to say because that's what it's all about. Email us your note at tom.vin@thedailyratings.com, and you'll be good to go. Okay, Vin, I don't know.
Yeah, how do we transition into this?
Well, I'll tell you what. Both of us weren't excited for this film. Both of us were shocked that it did this well.
Yeah.
Both of us can't believe that it's actually getting somewhat decent praise online, because it really is.
Oh, yeah.
This was doomed to get shit on left and right, and it hasn't, especially after Captain America.
Yep.
Let's be honest. So we have Thunderbolts asterisk. Asterisk?
Asterisk?
Asterisk. What is it? What is it? I'm asking.
Asterisk? I don't know.
Leave me hanging. Okay.
You're going to sound like dummies now.
Thunderbolts. David Harbour and a bunch of other famous people in this movie.
Not even the top bill.
I know. I just kind of want you to jump in, because that's really it. We weren't looking forward to it. But
that's where I'm starting.
But a lot of people ended up enjoying themselves.
Yeah.
So let's actually cut through the weeds, wade through the water, and how did Thunderbolts actually come out in the wash?
Yeah. Well, listen, folks. I got to be honest. I was very annoyed with everything in and around this movie, despite the unexpected buzz it's receiving online, to the point that I really didn't have much enthusiasm for this review at all. This one I really wanted to just give the score and be done with it, which I've yet to do. I'm really considering when to do that.
That would be a special thing. Don't tell me before you do it, by the way.
True.
In fact, that's really surprised me.
It really does. I was annoyed while watching this and how it circles the drain on one concept again and again. I was annoyed before watching this because it is yet another Suicide Squad premise with a lacking roster that doesn't have the star power to cut it. And maybe most of all, I was annoyed by all of the chatter online calling this the return of the MCU for everyone and their mother, just to spoil the one thing this had going for it. Maybe two things this had going for it, but fully spoiled. People have been reckless online with spoilers around this. I mean, like,
we have some drunk fingers going on.
yeah, keyboard warrior.
Yeah,
I was. If I didn't see it this weekend, or we delayed it for a special or something like that,
Yeah.
I probably just wouldn't watch it because it gave it away.
Enough is enough.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah, everyone's
wow, some
away.
typing under the influence. No good.
Let me tell you, initially I thought this might work, kicking off a new era of these rougher Marvel movies. Put the headshots and cursing next to projects like Guardians 3 or Deadpool 3, and you might get the first MCU movie in a long time. Just happy not to tie into major projects in the pipeline, but no, that is not this at all. This is probably the most tied into the pipeline.
Meaning, like, you need homework. You need to do homework.
Actually, a little bit of an opposite. I would say this actually doesn't really need a lot of MCU homework because it's just like, all right, we get to know these characters better than we do in their own respective shows, movies.
Yeah, because it does have to do with some shows, yeah.
Yeah, but Thunderbolts itself is required watching moving forward into Phase 6.
No.
Yeah.
They didn't? No.
Oh, yeah. Or you just spoil it for
Oh,
yourself.
actually, what am I saying? Of course.
No, but I'm with you. I thought this was just a throwaway. Let's move on to Fantastic Four. Let's wipe up Phase 5.
They don't cut things like DC, though.
Yeah.
Because they need Thunderbolts in the next Avengers, correct?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Can you believe that, by the way?
What?
The brothers have started, not the Safdie brothers, who the hell? The Russo brothers. They've literally started filming Doomsday. And the cast isn't completely. You listen to this.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Yeah. They don't even have the entire cast, and the script isn't done, and they're filming. I mean, this does not sound good.
That's definitely on the same page that Disney and Marvel. We've talked about previs before. Previs referring to pre-visuals that they do before.
It's like shooting two different movies.
Yeah. And I think that's good, working smartly or creatively for the CGI teams that they never have enough time.
Right.
But
the story's not done though.
Yeah, it seems like that's that pre-story. I don't know.
Pre-movie, more like it.
But anyway, but it makes sense that actually this is required watching.
Yes. Yeah, it really is. And that's really, really unfortunate for something I would describe as a bathroom break movie. The Thunderbolts is a superhero action movie that has Marvel throwing its many hanging cast members into a stew, hoping to spit out something emotionally edible. It's a direct follow-up to Captain America: Brave New World, and attempts to tie up the many loose ends to characters introduced over the last few years that you might just wonder where they are next time a big bad guy rolls around. This introduces Florence Pugh, playing our new Widow, depressed with the routine of killing people. She's looking for a purpose, and so she opens up to more public-facing work, only to be screwed over by her boss. Leading the many rogue anti-heroes floating around is Valentina, a conniving agency leader that has been organizing black ops using her Rolodex of forgotten talent.
This is Elaine. This is Julie Louis-Dreyfus. Okay.
Yep. Oh, I'll get into
it. just for our own visuals in our head.
Spoiler alert, the worst part of the movie. This lands her on the radar of Sebastian Stan, returning as Bucky Barnes or Winter Soldier. Bored with his government role that we saw in Captain America and not being in the field himself, when each of these self-interested supers starts turning on each other, they start to realize they are only liquidating themselves as evidence while Valentina gets away without a scratch. So instead of being forced into a team, this delinquent group of disposables choose to stick together and rally against their corrupt leader and the project that has gone off the rails. I'm mostly being cheeky when I say this throws the cast into a stew, but I really don't have a problem with a lot of these returning characters. In some cases, like I said, a few are able to flesh out their one-note roles in the short amount of time way, way more than their original, projects they were a part of. I think both Florence Pugh playing, she's not called New Widow, but I feel like she's Yelena
Belova.
Yeah. But she's basically New Black Widow.
Yes. Now, what's funny is you bitched about Black Widow a little bit because it almost became Pugh's story.
Yeah.
And sidestepped, what's-her-face?
Absolutely.
ScarJo.
Absolutely.
And you're right. I mean, this is kind of her movie again.
It is. I would say it's hers and Sebastian Stan's. That's the split.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I got a question about that later.
And that's because Winter Soldier is the most seasoned out of all these.
Well, I'll just ask my question now.
Sure.
I said, do we need Seabass in this film because he's now the third number one guy? So, what? What's the matter?
You know what's the matter? Seabass?
Seabass, Sebastian Stan. Seabass. So you have the Marvels start with 2008. They kick things off, and Robert.
You're going way too far back, I think.
No. What I'm trying to say is Robert Downey Jr. needed to be in everything because he was the star power. Then, who is a lesser Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, and then Chris Evans became the guy he needs to be in everything.
Sure.
He now goes away, and we're down to Sebastian Stan. I feel like being the guy. I actually have now liked Sebastian Stan.
Sure.
I just from going from zero opinion to just now I like him. Mm-hmm. But the fact that he is seemingly the new guy.
Yeah. Weak.
It's just,
this is what I'm talking about. It's the weakest roster imaginable.
Yeah, it's yet another, yet another meter
that
you can visually see Marvel going downhill.
Yeah, for sure. Another one like this that does benefit from the more time is Wyatt Russell playing U.S. Agent, basically evil Captain America that we get from one of the shows. Both of these characters, though, really benefit from the time on screen as far as just like having an ounce of emotional depth to them.
Was he good, Wyatt Russell? He's Kurt Russell's son.
Yes.
And he was in that Apple, not the dinosaur. Godzilla show.
Oh, really?
That really, I was...
the Monarch.
Monarch.
Yeah.
Tried to watch it, let down. And I want to see more from Kurt Russell's son because, come on, you've got Kurt Russell blood in you.
The character is an asshole by design, and he's kind of funny in that. Yeah, I don't know. But,
okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. More so, I think why I highlight those two is because they're not only returning characters, but something is actually done with them to make this worth watching, you know? But by far, the biggest problem I had was with the new additions to the story, specifically Julia Louis-Dreyfus as our lead antagonist of the story of Valentina. I had to really limit myself here. There's almost no end to how much I hated this character. Not only was this character an insulting ripoff of Amanda Waller from DC's Suicide Squad, not only in the footsteps of Viola Davis, who, you know, has only gotten more comfortable in that role, probably beneath her acting, but still, regardless. Julia was just awful in every single scene. You know, even if you forget this character is old hat, kind of been there, done that, this has to just be one of the weakest villain performances I've seen in, you know, the entire MCU. This reminded me of, like, a Thor 2 or just really, like, you know, forgettable, you know, villains that we used to get in this.
Truly
before,
forgettable.
Like Black Panther 1 or Thanos, where it's just like, oh, wow, this villain kind of has some motivation. And it's, like, refreshing.
Yeah.
Boy, like, just really throwaway stuff. Her lines consist of just constant corporate and military jargon that means absolutely nothing to any scene she's in. And most of all, her performance fails to satisfy any villainous fun that she could be having with this character. I'm just sorry. This is downright a total miscast. If I wasn't so bored with the cliches coming out of her mouth, I might have had the energy to make a decent Seinfeld joke here, but instead, I am left dreading the future of this inclusion of this garbage villain, this garbage character that's going to be in the next phase, that's going to be probably in the phase after that. It's just like, oh my God.
Hopefully they kill her off.
That's where I was hoping all movie. And she's like, she's I can't go in, I can't... Really bad.
It totally
though.
makes sense. I mean, you've got Elaine and you got Veep, and it's just it doesn't work for Big Baddie.
Right. Listen, I like her as an actress plenty.
You like her as a TV actress?
I guess so.
Well,
yeah,
I mean, that is a thing.
Yeah, I can't even think of a movie with her, but you know, I respect her coming from Seinfeld. Basically,
of course,
this is just not only miscast. It doesn't seem like she's trying. The character's not trying. The writing's not. It was just horrible. Really like the old style of MCU where it's just like you're watching for the hero and the villain is the throwaway, where that was not the case.
I don't know what you mean by that exactly.
Oh, really?
Well, because I feel like old MCU, like Green Goblin, Willem Dafoe.
No.
When you say old,
that's pre-MCU. That's Sam Raimi's Spider-Man.
Right. Well, okay.
I'm thinking like Jeff Bridges in Iron Man 1, where he gets in a big robot
easy,
suit.
but yeah, I do. Take it easy. But I understand what you're saying.
Wait, no. We need to pause this. You said easy to Jeff Bridges there. That's fine. I'll go easy on Jeff Bridges. You also recently said easy on Steven Seagal. I will not be easy on Steven Seagal.
The only reason why
trash.
No. The only reason why is I think there's actually two good movies there.
All right. We'll add him to the birthday list.
I'm telling we missed Steven Seagal by 5 years.
Really?
Oh, yeah. We did. Steven Seagal was the guy.
Because it's like direct-to-video. It's like Chuck Norris, you know?
As we know him. I'm telling you, if we were born 5 years earlier, Steven Seagal had like 2 years where he was the man on top.
Interesting.
Just letting you know.
All right.
So that's all. That's all that came from.
Because our editor, John, recently cut that up, and I was just like, wait, why didn't I call Tom out on that like right away? But yeah, I would say in an attempt to not completely shit on this movie, let me praise one piece that I think they got pretty right, and that is hero-on-hero fights. If we ever cover Avengers 1 on the podcast, you will hear my love of the one-on-one hero matchup as a key piece of comic book DNA. And if we ever cover Captain America Civil War, you will hear my complete hatred of how that matchup has boiled down to characters in a line running at characters in a line.
Yeah.
The handful of fights in here between the Thunderbolts kind of strikes that magic again of just like, oh, this is a cool matchup. There's some creative fight choreography of like who is matched up with who. Because these are all like C-tier anti-heroes, there's a tinge of stakes around who is actually going to get killed in this. But there was something to it. I think there's a handful of these fun fights that ultimately do get pushed aside for what the story is trying to achieve in like its emotion. It's got a lot of themes of like belonging and purpose overcoming sadness. I had that same reaction, the roll of the eyes, but it is something unique the movie's trying to do. For those parts of the runtime, that really isn't the focus just yet. It's just having kind of fun with these, if you will, the comic book nerd. Imagine if this hero fought this hero. Yeah. That struck a little bit of a magic that I haven't seen in a while in the MCU. But that itself can also contribute to this feel of like, this feels like an older Marvel movie in not exactly the best way.
Right.
Or at least not the best way to me. So, above all else, though, this took its time getting to the exact premise. Everyone knew what they were walking into. And I couldn't help but be bored to tears with it. This is Bathroom Break the movie.
Wow.
This is Bathroom Break for 2 hours and 1 minute, so you come back for the post-credit. It's like, really, it's just, oh my God. In exchange for kind of not forcing the team to work together, whether it's like a bomb collar or whatever the excuses were in Suicide Squad, this tries to establish a much stronger character ties and bonding so the team work kind of feels earned. It's less about villains and becoming heroes and more about just kind of finding a place to belong. And I can maybe appreciate the emotion of the story being led by Florence Pugh's acting and them trying to give this whole thing some heart. But that's where I come back to this who gives a fuck roster. Mm-hmm. Who gives a fuck about any of these characters? This is C-Team. This is not B-Team. Yeah. That shallow messaging comes back around to circle the drain too. Characters say they're depressed, and then characters say, "Don't be depressed. You have friends." And
this sounds terrible. I'm sorry, but you said that. Oh, they're gonna try. You had made the comment they're trying to do something different, at least
with the emotion.
What Marvel movie is not trying to have emotion, and what movie does it not always fall on its face?
Yeah.
And be lame.
It's at least trying to...
I thought that you want to watch this movie because you got a bunch of renegades acting in a renegade kind of way.
Sure. Badasses or breaking the rules kind of stuff.
Right. Being sloppy, being ridiculous, being a little, crossing the line a little bit at sometimes. I don't want emotion. I don't want therapist Thunderbolts. I'm quite serious about that. I thought this was going to have a grit to it because it's like we're the Thunderbolts and we don't get an F.
We'll kill
how the other Marvel movies did it or how the other polished guys did it. Mm-hmm. But this comes down to feelings and belonging.
Yep.
Oh my word.
Yep. Absolutely. Wow. And worst of all, I mean, the reason why maybe that's some praise is because it looks like Suicide Squad. It actually is a kind of an inverse of that story of just like they're forced to work together. This is they want to work together, but in just being the inverse, it's just a normal superhero story, and it's got a bad villain to work up to.
Right. It's tough.
So it's just like, all right, well, you maybe subverted some expectations here, but it's still like it's all intention. It's all hanging on Valentina, and Valentina is just so bad. Oh my God. Yeah, that circled the drain aspect though is where I come up with this score because I wouldn't say this was like horrific. I was frustrated. I was angry with this. I was annoyed by this movie. And that rinse and repeat, circle the drain aspect is exactly what gave me the same feeling that when we covered Spider-Man No Way Home. That in addition to watching that movie now outside of a theater experience, you're kind of like, what are these gaps, for audience reactions in the movie? Have you watched that movie again? We covered it way back.
Yes. It was a while ago.
Yeah.
I had bought them all and went through them.
Oh, okay.
Talk about mashing up like Mission Impossibles do. I mean,
yeah. All blends together. But I'll reel back just a tiny bit and say, if you don't see this roster as the, who gives a flying fuck, and you may be rooting for one of these characters as like a personal favorite or something like that, that arc will hit a little bit harder. But for me, it's just the repeat nature of that story going again and again on like the same two notes, just back and forth. I'm telling you, this is not really going to stand any kind of test of time and will be just as forgettable regardless of the required watching going into Phase 6. We're going to go ahead and give Thunderbolts a 46.
A 46? Oh, okay. I think that's
generous?
Well, no, it's better than... I wouldn't know. I didn't see it, but
Sure.
the way you were talking about it, I thought we almost had like high 20s, 30s on our hands or something like that.
Well, that's where the frustration comes in because people are really praising this, return to the MCU and whatnot. I'm telling you, that is totally off base.
You're right. It's not return to the MCU. Well, actually, it is a return to the MCU, actually, in my mind. 46%? Sure seems like we're home once again.
Yeah.
Well, I'm starting to enjoy yourself. I'm definitely telling my guy, Sherwin Williams, to not listen to this episode. Big Marvel guy, and he liked it. I talked to him first about it.
He loved it?
He was positive about it, but he's a big Marvel guy.
I'd be curious, though. Have him write in.
Maybe that's a good...
I'm curious what the temperature is on this roster.
If you are a Marvel guy, I think what you could easily do is take Vincent Daly's score and add 25 points to it. Maybe that's fair.
And that's where it's really sitting at, honestly.
Maybe that, yeah.
First wave was like way too positive.
Well,
it's
as the industry works.
Yeah, it's definitely cooled down a little bit.
You got to juice the seats a little bit.
Yeah,
to get
we'll call it the sinner syndrome. But yeah, it's calmed down a little bit more. I think it's gonna not only for me does it feel like Spider-Man No Way Home, but I feel like the exact thing that happened to that movie post its release year later, 2 years later, will happen to this.
I think. Listen, if you go and look at the Rotten Tomatoes 5 days ago, and I think if we look at it 5 weeks from now, it's going to be a big difference.
Oh yeah,
there's just a juicing of the numbers. You got to get them in the seats. I mean, they're owned by the studios at this point. Rotten Tomatoes is.
Right.
And that doesn't help Metacritic score as well. Yeah, anyway, that's regardless. Those don't matter because what matters is the 46 from the daily ratings.
Yeah.
Very specific audience, meaning if you really only are a big Marvel fan, I think.
Yeah.
And when we get it, and listen, and then we're starting Phase 6, I'm sure you can kind of just get along.
That is true.
When it comes up, you're not going to miss all that much.
That is true. And I think that really could be said about all of these, that it's existed for such a long time. You just kind of maybe pick up some, approximate nerd knowledge.
Yeah, for sure.
That you're just like, oh yeah, this character did something,
Because that's real hype for this summer for Fantastic Four. That's real hype.
Yeah, I am looking forward to it. I like what they're doing. You really don't. Why don't you get that?
Because I don't get it. I don't get that.
Listen, I'm not even a fan of like the old Fantastic Four movies. I like what they're doing with like an alternate universe.
We're in the 60s.
Yeah. I like the style of it. I like how stylized the Fantastic Four are in this world. And I'm telling you, Fantastic Four, very key to big story arcs in the comics.
Oh, I'm not putting that
very
down.
Key. I mean, I'm not even like Galactus and like bad guys. Like Reed Richards, like one of the best comic book characters, period.
He's a stretchy guy. Right?
We should just roll credits. Right. I'm sorry. That's a stretchy one?
He is, though, correct?
Yes.
I actually don't know.
Phenomenal.
What is coming up next week, Vin? Because we actually have a special next week.
Yeah. So we kind of had a dry spot in the release window. So we're actually going to be doing the cooking special that we floated over the course of the couple of last months. Yeah. But I feel like we've really hit some momentum this year, and certainly after the Tom Daly's, both of us loving Taste of Things. That cooking special, I have the list set. I feel like it's probably best to just kind of maybe keep it to news show, or
we'll announce on news show.
Okay,
yeah.
But really excited for it. Definitely well overdue for a new special as well.
And it's fun. It's going to be all food movies, and for some reason I'm nervous about calling it because we like keeping our specials themed, and I mean we're adding to that as we like do more specials. But this is going to go in the essential category, so calling it the essential food movies. I almost want to say part 1 because I told you this last week. I'm scared that things are going to fall through the cracks.
Sure.
It's just going to be a problem for us. In the future.
Or flack and saying, "Oh no, this isn't essential. This is essential."
Right.
Something like that.
Would you be cool with saying So what would it be? It would be Daily Rating Special, Essential Food Movies Part 1.
Essential food movies. I also think a lot of these are around cooking specifically, not necessarily like the eating of it.
Essential cooking movies.
Yeah.
You know what?
So,
Okay. Maybe
yeah,
essential cooking.
something around that. I don't have.
I'm more so talking about the Part 1 or not. That's what I'm saying.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Because if there's more for a part 2,
they're going to come out of the woodworks. As soon as we hit it big, Vin, there's going to be plenty of people chirping in our ears.
I started listening at the cooking special.
Okay, Vin, thank you so much for watching these movies here today. Folks at home, we'll run it down one more time. We've got Notorious with a 71%, The Raid Redemption with a big 84%, and Thunderbolts with a 46%. As always, it is a blast week after week, folks. And we'll see you on the news show on Tuesday, and we'll see you for the special next Thursday right here on the Daily Ratings Podcast. And hey, if you enjoyed the podcast, folks, if you would, give us a good rating or get the word out and tell a friend about us. And just a reminder that the Daily Ratings is completely producer supported. We want to stay away from advertising, and we don't want to have any paywalls or tier structures or subscriptions. It's all just value for value. So, are you finding value in what we're doing here at the Daily Ratings? Then become a producer and donate whatever amount of value that is. Just go to the donations tab on thedailyratings.com. And while you're there, be sure to check out the massive amount of films that Vince has rated. So thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you next time on the Daily Ratings Podcast.